Hello and happy Monday morning. I'm meteorologist Taylor Cox. Thanks for joining us on this Monday morning. We have a very busy week. Now today or this week is the first week of Meteorological Spring, which means that we of course have to talk about a storm risk every single day this week. It looks like March got the memo and we are absolutely going to see that severe weather this week. This comes right off of our first 3-star hailstorm of 2026, which happened late last week on Thursday. We saw those storms in Birmingham, Alabama, or just outside of Birmingham, Alabama, that were larger than 2 inches in size. And we could see that once again this week. So let's go ahead and let's give you a quick breakdown of those storms that we're expecting this week. Today, nothing severe. Well, the weather could surprise us, but a low chance for severe weather today. Tomorrow, that's when things really start to kick off. Take a look at the risk tomorrow across Kansas, Oklahoma, and portions of Texas. This has been extended, a larger risk now than what we saw this time yesterday. This is driven by the hail risk. Okay, so we're going to talk about those hail sizes and where we expect them to be the largest coming up in just a few minutes. After Tuesday, we're moving on to Wednesday now, where we've also got an expanded storm risk here. Anywhere from DFW all the way to Fayetteville, Arkansas, we have a level 2 risk highlighted there in yellow and a level 1 risk highlighted in green. This includes St. Louis and Cincinnati, places that were not previously in that storm risk. Now let's take a look at Thursday. We're watching for a low pressure system strengthening across the Four Corners on Thursday, and that's going to be our next chance for storms out in western Oklahoma and in West Texas. So the Panhandle's just barely included there. And then we are also watching for storms on Friday. So again, this is our 4th day of storms in a row. Anywhere from DFW to Oklahoma City, Wichita, Kansas City included in this risk, and we don't stop there. We have another risk on Saturday, so it's just day after day after day of storms across the plains. As always, we're talking about a lot of different cities and a lot of different states here, so make sure that you comment where you're watching from, and we'll try to answer all of those weather questions. I can see them over here in the chat. So let's move on now. Let's talk about our 48-hour storm reports. They weren't terribly impressive this weekend. Actually what we saw this weekend were more storms up in Kansas and the northern side of Oklahoma. We did expect storms in central Oklahoma yesterday, but it just really didn't happen. We stayed pretty capped for some pretty stable air. So what we saw yesterday is actually a really impressive hailstorm just north of Wichita. Temperatures there were 34 degrees and we were getting ping pong ball size hail, which I think really told us something about the atmosphere. Like, it's early March, things aren't working very textbook here. So I'm very interested to see what happens in Kansas and Oklahoma again tomorrow. But for right now, we're seeing just a few showers and storms across the Virginias, across the Carolinas, Tennessee, and Kentucky. Nothing severe here. It's just a little too cold for that. Pretty clear across Florida and our southern states, and then we've got a few showers up in the Dakotas as well. So nothing severe right now. We've got those cooler temperatures today after that cold front went through yesterday, 46 in Oklahoma City, 68 in Dallas. But I want to get into what everyone has probably jumped on here to see, the significant hail model. Ooh, look at those yellows lighting up the board here. From Kansas City to Oklahoma City, tomorrow what we're watching for are storms in the late evening hours. So even though we have a really good chance for hail according to this model, we don't have any storms on the board, and I'll show you that here in just a few minutes. What we're watching for are more storms to pop up later on in the evening. So what we're talking about here on Tuesday, and I'm actually going to rewind this just a little bit here. Tuesday, what we're talking about is between about 5 and 6 o'clock for some, and then 7 to 8 to even late into the overnight hours for others. And we'll show you exactly who gets what timeline for storms. Actually, let's go ahead and pop on that radar right now. All right, here you go. Into the afternoon hours, we're watching for the southwestern portion of Oklahoma, the Lawton and Wichita Falls area. Again, this entire area could see some large hail, but I'll give you a big caveat here in just a minute. As we head into the late afternoon and early evening hours, we start to focus on Oklahoma City for that hail risk. And then through the late night hours and into early Wednesday morning, we're watching for storms up in Wichita. So the earliest storms are going to be starting in southwestern Oklahoma, central Oklahoma around dinner time, and then late night storms in Kansas. Now, I told you I'd give you a big caveat about these storms. The thing here is that they're very, very capped. What that means is we've got some warm air loft. So above our heads, we've got some warm air that's basically capping those storms, making sure that they can't grow too much and develop into some of these big supercells. Now, if these supercells can break the cap, we're expecting large hail here. But because of the isolated nature of these storms and the low risk for that to even happen, I have kept the risk for Tuesday very, very low, which is why you're going to see on here those indicators, those locator risk levels, they're all in the green. It's a low risk for hail on Tuesday. Anything that does pop up has the potential to go severe very fast and produce large hail, but it's not going to be an all, hail outbreak here. We may see one, two, some very isolated severe storms here producing some really large hail. So again, very similar to yesterday, it's kind of a boom or bust scenario. Are we going to see all of those storms explode? Or are we going to see maybe one storm and that's kind of it? Everything else stays capped. We really won't know until we start to see those surface temperatures tomorrow. So a lot of this depends on how warm it can get at the surface tomorrow. So we'll keep an eye on that for you. There's your forecasted hail size. Your max hail size here, I went large. I went up to tennis ball size hail possible on Tuesday. Again, it's conditional. It's pretty isolated. It's your favorite word, conditional. All right, so I've been focused on the graphics. I haven't really seen any questions, so I'm going to see if we have any questions popping up here. I see, what are we seeing for Fayetteville, Arkansas, and that area? So what we're watching for Fayetteville, Arkansas is mainly a Wednesday. I think you guys are on the Wednesday risk. Here, I actually have that in front of me. Let's take a look. Fayetteville. There's Tuesday, there's Wednesday. Yeah, you absolutely are in the risk on Wednesday, and we'll take a look at those hazards here in just a few minutes. I do have the hail forecast for you. Let's go right into it. I'll answer your question right now. I think that we'll have better chances for more widespread hailstorms on Wednesday. And so all of this determines, so what happens on Tuesday will determine and impact what happens on Wednesday. You can see Fayetteville, Arkansas, highlighted there in the red color, which means that we could see up to 2-inch size hail in this area. I went from max hail size, tennis ball size hail. We're going to have a long line of storms stretching anywhere from St. Louis all the way through Fayetteville and into DFW. Again, earlier in the afternoon, that's going to be the best chance for large hail. As we head into the later evening hours, it's going to turn into more of a wind event. So as we see those storms moving into Little Rock and Shreveport, that hail risk will go down. Here's the thing about these storms. What happens on Tuesday will greatly impact what happens on Wednesday. Where does the front stall out? Where can we get our moisture into? So we may not know exactly what's going to happen on Wednesday until we see what happens on Tuesday, if that makes sense. And that's very, very typical, especially for this time of the year, to have some of those conditional risks. But I'm going to go back, keep putting your questions and your comments in the chat, and we'll have a chance to answer those here in just a few minutes. But I'm going to go back for now, and I'm going to talk about the timeline for storms on Tuesday. We talked a little bit about it earlier, but I want to go through once again. Now, the timeline depends on the surface temperature. When can these storms fire up? How warm does it get? Again, we've got a bit of a capped situation going on Tuesday. But what we're watching for the most part, is in the southwestern corner of Oklahoma, storms will fire in the afternoon, into Oklahoma City, central portion of the state by the evening hours, 5 to 6 o'clock here, and then up into Kansas later on that night and into the overnight hours, even into early Wednesday morning in Kansas and Wichita, where it's a little bit more widespread. And we could still have hail overnight on Tuesday night into Wednesday. Oftentimes I say that the sun goes down, the hail risk goes down. I don't think that's the case here. I think that even through the overnight hours, we could see some large hail. I have your timeline right in front of me for Oklahoma City. Again, I put evening to late night because we're not just quite sure with this capped situation going on. It's pretty conditional. But if we could get a storm here, we have the chance for very large hail, up to 2 inches in size. But again, I've kept it pretty isolated. And for Wichita, a very similar situation, where we're talking about the evening to the overnight hours and even into early Wednesday morning. So you have to wait, you're going to bed, and now you're finally getting those storms. early Wednesday morning. So you could wake up on Wednesday morning around 5:30, 6 o'clock. When do you guys wake up? It could be rainy out there. You could have a little bit of a localized flooding issue as well. I'm not too worried about the flooding, but it's possible for your morning commute. Strikes of lightning, rumble of thunder, you kind of know the drill there. Some hail through the overnight hours. So make sure that you have multiple ways to get your severe weather alerts because some of those storms could wake you up in Kansas. So that's Tuesday. Let's look at Wednesday. Again, Little Rock, we talked about you guys earlier, or Fayetteville, we talked about you earlier. You guys are in that level 2 risk, 2 on a scale of 5. Dallas, DFW, also in that level 2 risk, that slight risk highlighted there in yellow. Now you're going to see that my hail map looks a little bit different than what the Storm Prediction Center has outlined here. Better chances for more widespread severe storms down to the south, anywhere from Fayetteville all the way into Dallas, and maybe even portions to the south of DFW. Let's take a look at your hail risk for Wednesday. Now, I was a little iffy on exactly where to put the largest hail here, but I think it'll be mainly on some of these early afternoon storms that stretch anywhere from St. Louis all the way down to Fayetteville and north of Dallas. I do think that Dallas has a pretty good chance, especially just to the north and west of Dallas, has a pretty good chance for large hail on Wednesday. All of this, of course, we have to kind of wait to see where the front stalls out, but this is where we're thinking that the front will stall out right now. It'll be mainly in the southeastern side of Oklahoma all the way up to central Missouri. Better chances for large hail. Some of those earlier storms, Dallas and Fayetteville, St. Louis, and Indianapolis. All righty, moving on here. Any questions on Wednesday? Tennessee, it's raining in Tennessee right now, or for some of you guys in Tennessee, it's raining. It's a chilly rain, nothing severe happening right now, and we're not expecting anything severe in Tennessee at this point for this week. Austin, will Austin be in the risk this week? Does this risk go all the way down to Austin? This is, I don't know exactly. I mean, Austin's right on the edge of this risk right here. You guys should get rain in Austin. Here, let me go to your full forecast right here. So this is Tuesday. Austin not in the risk on Tuesday, but Wednesday, you guys are just barely out of it on Wednesday. I knew you guys were just on the edge. But still, you're going to have some rain on Wednesday, so let's see. Better chances for rain later in the day in Austin. Late Wednesday and Thursday. Austin, not in the risk on Thursday, but you guys may be in it on Friday. This is kind of the temporary risk. Basically, what we're doing is we're showing the area that we think there's going to be storms, but things could change between now and Friday. The National Weather Service, I was reading some of their discussions this morning, and I completely agree with what they said in this sense that Friday looks like we don't have a very good grasp on what's going to happen on Friday yet. And it's just because we have so many storm systems between now and then that a lot could change in the atmosphere between now and then. So we are still kind of waiting to see what that looks like. Models will have a better grasp in the next few days, so make sure that you come back for your forecast the next few days. A lot could change between now and Friday. And then, yeah, in Austin, you guys may get storms again on Saturday, where it looks like DFW, south of DFW, all the way to the northeastern side of the state is included in that risk. Do we see these storms as a straight west to east track, or are they moving northwest to southeast? More northwest to southeast, because they're really driven, most of these storms that we're talking about this week are going to be driven by a cold front or 2 different cold fronts, and that'll move from the northwest to southeast. And you can kind of see that in this graph right here, or this map right here. You can kind of see where that cold front would be. I wonder if I could draw on this. It's not going to let me draw, But basically imagine a line that stretches from central Missouri all the way down to North Texas, to like San Angelo even. Got a big cold front moving through. So that'll be starting in the northwest, moving to the southeast, and the storms will basically follow that track. And I think my assumption of why you're asking that question would be for the tornado risk. I don't know if you're thinking similar to what I'm thinking here, but basically if you see storms move more straight to the east, you're going to have a better chance for tornadoes. If they move more on that southeast track, it'll be a lower chance. That's kind of the rule of thumb. It doesn't always happen like that, but there's an easy rule of thumb there. And the tornado risk increases as we head into the later portion of the week. This Tuesday and Wednesday storm system, we've got a very, very low risk for tornadoes. We've got a better chance on Thursday and Friday. Southern Indiana. Southern Indiana is included in our hail risk on, that's not the graphic I chose. This is the graphic I wanted to choose. Southern Indiana is included in the hail risk on Wednesday. Wednesday is going to be your best chance for hail. That includes Indianapolis. It's a low risk here. Probably some smaller hail up there, but you're going to have some widespread showers and storms in this area. Great questions. Louisville, Kentucky, out of the risk, I think, but you will get some rain. You guys are going to test my geography skills. Where is Louisville? Oh, right on the line. South of, okay, so you guys are included in the risk, just barely though. My assumption is that by the time these storms get to Louisville, it's going to be more of a wind risk than it is a hail risk. So I would watch for those strong winds. What are the chances this front pushes east towards Alabama and Georgia towards the end of the week? So you're actually going to have two chances for a front in your area. And I wish I would have done my big synoptic map today, but I just didn't have time. This is a busy forecast. Let's see, Alabama and Georgia, you guys stay dry over the next 5 days. Not a ton of rain coming your way, but it will be a little bit cooler. So as we see the front move through, you may miss the rain, but you're going to see those cooler temperatures. Take a look at your departure from normal. So everyone's pretty warm this week, but you can see the front come through and it tries to drop our temperatures. It doesn't do a great job. It may drop our temperatures about 10 degrees, but then it's already so warm, it's still above average. It's still seasonably warm. You know, if we drop from 70 degrees to 60 degrees, that's still pretty warm for March 2nd or 3rd. Let's take a look at those temperatures in Alabama and Georgia. We've got 54 in Birmingham for today. Tomorrow, 75. Ooh, it looks gorgeous tomorrow. By Wednesday, there's a little bit of a cool down, but it doesn't last for very long. Thursday afternoon, you're still in the 70s, so you're not really going to feel too much of this cooler weather. Yeah, you guys are hot this entire week, 70s, 80s, holy moly. Stephen says, I like this comment. I think that you were the one who asked earlier about the direction of these storms, if they're moving to the southeast or straight east. So basing off of that concept, you want squall lines. You don't want squall lines, you want isolated supercells. Yeah, so that's what we're watching for on Wednesday and Friday. Those are going to be your big supercell days. But they're also pretty conditional, right? You've got that isolated, capped nature on those days. So very similar to yesterday, it could be like a boom or bust type of situation where we could get some really impressive supercells or we could get nothing at all. Yesterday in Oklahoma City, we expected storms to fire around like 5 to 6 o'clock in the evening. And we waited and we waited and we waited. And around like 7:30, we were like, well, the front's passed, no storms. So it was kind of that boom or bust situation. Macon, Georgia, it's sunny today. Jonathan is asking about the biggest risk for Fort Worth throughout the next few days. Let's go back to our weekly severe weather risk. Fort Worth, no risk today, no risk tomorrow on Tuesday. That's mainly up in Kansas and Oklahoma. Better chances for storms on Wednesday, so that'll be actually a pretty good chance for storms on Wednesday. Got a slight risk right now. I would not be surprised. Actually, I would bet on that being increased to an enhanced risk by Wednesday. It's Monday right now. In the next 48 hours, I could see this risk getting increased to an enhanced risk, a level 3 for Fort Worth. Lubbock and Amarillo on Thursday, and then we have another chance for storms on Friday in Dallas, and then another chance for storms in DFW, including Fort Worth, on Saturday as well. So lots of storms this week in Fort Worth. Great question, Jonathan. St. Louis, Josh is asking about St. Louis on Friday and next Tuesday. Oh, I haven't even, what are you looking out that far for? It's 8 days on Tuesday? Got to get through this week first. St. Louis, best chances for storms will be on Wednesday. There you go. And we're a little out of order for our forecast here. I don't know exactly where we stopped before I started taking questions, so I'm going to go back and I'm going to go through the hail risk here. I'm sure some people have already jumped on and off, so you may have not seen this map quite yet, but here's your hail risk on Wednesday. Again, Indianapolis, we're going to see a lot of storms in this area, but your hail sizes are going to be on the smaller side. Your larger hail sizes are going to be anywhere from Dallas, Fort Worth, Fayetteville on Wednesday. Lots of storms moving through here. It's going to be an isolated risk on Tuesday, more numerous storms on Wednesday. We've got a cold front, so storms are moving from along and south of this cold front on Wednesday. Largest max forecasted hail size, golf ball size hail. You know, I would actually increase that. I may have missed that graphic to at least 2-inch size hail on Wednesday. Here's your radar. Storms tomorrow, starting in southwestern Oklahoma, fire off in the afternoon, central Oklahoma in the evening, 5, 6, 7 o'clock, and then in Wichita overnight. So by the time you lay your head down in Wichita, you may have some storms outside your window. Through the overnight hours, you're probably hearing the thunder, seeing the flash of lightning. It may wake you up through the overnight hours in Wichita. By early Wednesday morning, we do have more of a line of storms starting to form here. That's where you see your cold front, anywhere from Kansas City all the way down to Oklahoma City. But storms really get going in the afternoon. So we could start to see that line of storms, you know, kind of begin to show its shape. But later on in the afternoon, that's whenever we start to see more numerous storms, anywhere from the central portion of Missouri all the way through southeastern Oklahoma and into DFW. Impressive hail and wind risk, very low tornado risk here, but it's still on the board. It's still possible to see tornadoes on Wednesday. By early Thursday morning, we do this copy and paste where we turn our attention back to the west. We're going to go into Oklahoma and Texas. Thursday afternoon, storms will be pretty isolated, but they're going to fire off in the afternoon hours. Let's see if we can get, there you go. Into the late night hours, these storms will continue to track to the east, and there's another chance for storms anywhere from DFW all the way up to the southern portion of Iowa on Friday. And then Saturday, right down into Texas, the northern side of Texas, including DFW, Texarkana. And Tuesday, I can't remember who asked about Tuesday. I have not looked that far ahead yet. Ooh, we've got some, I mean, at least from the GFS, looks like some nice storms on Tuesday. I haven't looked at all the other products. I need to look at like Cape and Helicity. There's your recap. All right, any last minute questions? Can these storms make it to Arizona soon, or at least cooler weather? It's pretty warm right now, isn't it? This is my favorite question I've gotten all day. Do the storms have any correlation with the Groundhog Day predictions? The groundhog cannot impact what the storms do, and the storms cannot impact the groundhog. However, the groundhog was wrong, right? Because the groundhog said 6 more weeks of winter, and all I have seen in February is second warmest February on record in Oklahoma City. I think we ended up at second warmest February on record for OKC. Storms. We had 3 or 4 big storm days in February. We've got like 5 in the first 5 days of March. So the groundhog was wrong. Tuesday, Josh is asking about Tuesday. Yeah, it's just too far out to tell. I mean, if someone is saying that Tuesday looks like a good day for storms, I mean, models are not that accurate this far out. We're even like looking at Friday saying, you know, so much could change between now and Friday. Thank you for that question about the groundhog. We've been saying that for the entire month of February. We're like, well, where's winter? We had winter in January, but it was like 60s and 70s. It was gorgeous in February. Great questions on here today. Someone is saying, switch that groundhog with the Texas armadillo. Okay, back to the weather here. Is DFW more severe rain than hail? I mean, I think it has I think DFW has a really good chance for hail on Wednesday. I mean, you've got like 5 chances here. I'm being a little, I mean, that's exaggerated. You've got 3 days of chances here. Here's DFW on Wednesday. And then you've got another risk on Friday and then another one on Saturday. So definitely something to take seriously. It's hard this early in the year, things can change so quickly. It's not that classic April or May setup. I'm reading some of the questions here. We've got Indiana on here, St. Louis, DFW, Kansas City. Thanks for joining us today. So I think I've answered all of these questions. If I do it again, it's going to be a little bit of a repeat from what I had earlier, but I'll go ahead and just go back over a few of our big highlights that I want you to know about for this week. Starting on Tuesday, we've got an isolated hail risk, okay? That's why everything is in green. It's a low risk for hail. However, if a storm were to go up, if it were to blow up, it could produce some large hail. Basically what that means is that we've got a cap in place. So it's going to be hard for storms to go up, but when they do, they're going to be pretty impressive. Not everyone getting storms on Tuesday, not everyone getting rain on Tuesday, but those that do have a really good chance for large hail. Your largest hail size on Tuesday, up to tennis ball size hail. And that'll be probably pretty late in the day tomorrow. So most of your day is going to be dry. By the afternoon and evening, you're going to start to see some storms in Oklahoma, overnight hours into Kansas. The next big thing that I want you to know about here are those storms on Wednesday. So we've got larger hail on mainly the west side of this system on Wednesday. It'll be those afternoon storms. As we head into the later hours on Wednesday, it'll be more of a wind risk. And that's the biggest thing that I want you to know for now. On Thursday, we have another risk for storms that'll be out in western Texas and western Oklahoma. By Friday, we move that risk back into DFW. There's Thursday. There's Friday. Oklahoma City, Tulsa, Wichita, Kansas City, and southern Iowa all included in this risk for Friday. And then we go right back down into Texas on the northern side of the state, northeastern side of the state by Saturday. And there's your forecast. I think I've answered most of your weather questions. We talked about temperatures earlier. For the most part, it's staying on the warmer side. this week. You can see that it's a little bit cooler today thanks to that cold front that came through yesterday, but then for the rest of the week, it's warm. And of course, warm temperatures, lots of moisture, that's all going to contribute to that storm risk. There's your temperatures this week. Taking a look at March 7th through the 11th, do we stay warm for the rest of March? Well, at least for the second week of March, it does look like we have a warm trend on the central to eastern side of the state. It's about neutral through the central and western side of the state. And what about that extended rain outlook? Well, those places that need the rain the most, looks like it's going to be pretty rainy all the way through next week, which is good news for that fire concern, right? We need the rain. But it's bad news if you don't want storms. If you want storms, this is really good news for you, because we stay warm and wet, which means that we have a really good chance for storms all the way into next week. So those that were asking about Tuesday, I'm going to have to check that out. I really haven't looked that far ahead yet. That would be the 10th. Yeah, we'll keep an eye on that for you. It does look like we're going to stay pretty wet during that time, so we have a chance for storms all the way into next week as well. March is active. I keep saying March got the memo. We said, hey, it's spring, and March is like, I'll show you spring. I'll show you spring weather, and I'll prove that groundhog wrong. Hey, if you have not gotten tickets for our Raising Hail Tour yet, head over to raising-hail-tour.com. We only have one stop left in Minneapolis. That happens tomorrow on March 3rd. We're so excited to see you guys in Minneapolis. If you like forecasts like this, but if you want to go all the way out from not only this week, but also into the rest of March, April, May, June, we have that forecast for you. Head over to raising-hail-tour.com to get tickets to see that forecast in Minneapolis tomorrow. And we want to hear from you. Do you guys want a virtual forecast again this year? We got a lot of comments last year saying that you guys wanted a virtual forecast. Do you guys want that again this year? We want to hear from you, so we'll put that together if you guys want that. If not, of course, we'll be back here tomorrow and we'll keep going day by day with these storms. I'll be back here tomorrow doing it once again virtual, and then we've got Heather filling in later on this week, so she'll be giving you the forecast from Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. In the meantime, follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Threads, and LinkedIn. We're on all forms of social media. We give you updates almost hour by hour. Yesterday, I think I posted like 10 times across all platforms. So that's 10 times on Facebook, 10 times on X. We posted a lot yesterday. So we will continue to do that throughout the rest of this week as we have storms coming in. Give us a call if you're interested in a hail, wind, or tornado map. We have all of those storms from last week, from yesterday, mapped at HailTrace.com. So give us a call if you're interested in a map. Get your maps now before storms hit. Know how to work the app before storms hit. Call our help center before storms hit so that you know how to respond when they do hit. Give us a call at 855-334-4245 or email us at info@hailtrace.com or head over to our website, hailtrace.com, for more information. Thanks for joining us today. I'm meteorologist Taylor Cox, and we'll see you back here for your forecast, same time, same place.